The Audio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.
All right, here we go again. Buckle up, rough roads ahead. So let's get back to where we were. But essentially, when we're speaking of that man that was involved in the racist shooting, he was possessed. The planet required somebody to be possessed to do that, and he became it. Now, you have to realize something also. There are people that obsess over racism that are people of color that require it also. So again, it's in every society. Could it have been an official criminal spycraft operation? Yes. Could have been Russians. Could have been Russians at the pinnacle moving private investigators to do that person while they say, quote unquote, they were investigating him, or even official police officers, federal agents, whoever. So there's a method that Satan uses to cause that in someone's life. There are people on the planet that are physically operating that method to bolster Satan's ability to alter people, and it includes everyday people. There could even be a Democrat that does it, wanting DeSantis or a Republican to look bad. But DeSantis has moved in the wrong direction with rhetoric. Well, he'll fix it every so often. But he said what he said. That's kind of over the line racism, and maybe he's trying to get the white supremacist vote like Trump did. So again, that's really what's going on Earth as far as what could cause that. What is it? So you're not going to get rid of it physically. So I was speaking about the physical, spiritual, the spiritual, physical, and again, where God is the spiritual. You could break it down further, but that's probably the best way to do it for now. When Native Americans speak of the sky, that's a spiritual, physical. So when we go back to the garden, meth was spiritually brought about. So if we can find how that spiritual thing moves, we can minimize meth, if not eradicate it. There could be like a cure-all DNA-driven thing that rules out narcotics addiction or addictions of any type. But you can't get to it while people are addicting people to things and thinking it's funny, including law enforcement officers and intelligence officers and doctors and nurses, librarians and 7-Eleven employees. Some people call it willpower, but it's demonic. So where I began at is to say why are people LGBTQ? Why are people trans? The same reason as I know it. You have to think neutrally. The same reason he became that. There's something else going on here. An energy hit you, and it's a wall in your life. You can't get through it. So when Jesus said, and the Bible speaks about this purity, you could watch that they lacked the purity that they spoke about. And in fact, Jesus said, don't call him good, because there's only one that is good, that is God. Now, some Christians go, well, he said he was God, therefore he was good. I believe that's a mistranslation. He's indwelled by God. He was exhibiting qualities of God. Oh, he's definitely, I believe he's the ruler. Again, it gets confusing when you get into Judaism. When we realize what a universe is, a modern day universe, I believe he's the ruler of this universe, that God has appointed him over this universe. And I believe his spiritual manifestation is the sun. And boy, his temper is hot, isn't it? He's flaring everywhere. Probably going to destroy us pretty soon, right? The brightness of his coming. Oh my God. That darn sun getting hotter, getting brighter. So again, could that also mean something else? Yes, that's how seeing works. It can mean 3 or 4 different things. So when we look at what people are, unmolested, if you get to a certain point in life, then you'll just keep kind of going up and maintain a good life. But people believe that's something that they are. And in some cases it is. If you're evil and the planet pays you, then yeah, that's who you are. But then again, you're not supposed to be evil so other people don't have. Sometimes that's all somebody has to do to make their way. So again, that's what's known as an evil planet. So they say born that way. I don't think it works like that, but some people are born that way. Again, I'm not, because you have people like Ray Boltz that midlife he changed and he said, well, I always knew, I thought maybe, that kind of thing. But that's just he's being, that energy to change him into LGBTQ was hitting him the whole time. Probably, it started in grade school, because evil people will do things that are not beneficial to you. Now, some people live the greatest life because they're LGBTQ. So again, what happened? I'm one of the spirits that changes things so that you're not punished for what other people are doing to you. So we, those that are with God in reality, altered the planet so you could have a great life. Now, people are still discriminated for it, though. So I'm not telling you that there's no discrimination. So that's why I told you to stop doing that, because it's altering the earth. God is resolute that the earth will change based upon what you're willing. And that's where that movement to accept pedophilia comes from. It can gain power and within 100 years, 50 years, 25 years, whatever it is, take over. And I know I said it's got 50 years left and it's a mess, but what is what it is. And who would be at fault? You would all be pointing at it, but who's at fault? You all for willing that type of thing onto the planet. There is a justice, and the justice is blind. So if you will people to be something, then it's no longer considered wrong. Magic, willpower. I mean, I hate using the term magic and sorcerer and witch and all that, because that's what it is, but it's an inside willpower thing for most people. But again, it's errant use of will. And again, all use of will is actually errant use of will. Will is actually something a little different than what they try to tell you it is. They're trying to teach you to be a witch, and they tell you, use your will. Because you're altering what God, again, what's happening is everything is altering from where God wants it to be. And when you let it be, it'd be perfect. Would there be gay people? No, of course not. But would it matter? No, because there is no such thing as gay people then. So again, I'm trying to neutralize your mind so you understand that everything that's happening is the same thing. Us in a physical body, we're no longer in the spiritual, physical. We've been dumbed down to the physical, which makes it more difficult for you to be anything that was intended in the garden. Because it's an easier life when you're. That's why I'm saying this planet doesn't need to exist, because there's actually a spiritual Earth. I mean, spiritual, not maybe there's spirit. No, there wouldn't be a spirit. I guess yeah, the spiritual Earth could exist, but a spiritual physical Earth. And that's where essentially the garden is. So I really don't. That's why I say this is not Earth, because the Earth that was created was a spiritual physical Earth, and this is a physical Earth with potential to be physically spiritual. The genius is on. The thing is, they would call me Gayon. Is that how you say it? Feeling like Gayon? I'm the Lenexa Gayon. That's a sign, actually. I mean, you have to accept all the TMI when you're with God. You really do, because there's no other way for God to explain it. So, like, he in what is it, in Yiddish? I don't know. Where do Gayon is it? Hebrew, Yiddish, whatever it is, or maybe Lithuanian. I don't know. I have to look that up. But it does say Gayon, Gayon. So it's a metaphysical term. You know, on is a metaphysical term that God taught me, and gay is something you try to make me all the time. Oh, hang on. No, it's just audio. I'm broadcasting. I can do videos because there is an image on here, but it's not like I'm not like videoing or anything. I'm just trying to send a regular video, and I don't know how to fucking do it. Like doing a video for something? No, I recorded a video, and I'm trying to send it to this station, and it's telling me that the file is too. Yeah. What happens is you have to reduce the size. Okay, what it is, it's a big video. You can either break it up. How long is it? Yeah. You have to get an app. Do you know how to use apps and stuff? Pretty much. You're not sure. Well, we can do it out here. I mean, later if you need me to help you. Essentially, you get an app and you can break it down into smaller sizes and then send it independently, or you can reduce the resolution, which decreases the size of the video. You know, sometimes you open up a video and it's really big in the screen, and other times it's smaller. Well, we make it smaller. The resolution, and not as clear, but it probably clear on a phone and stuff like that. My thing is, what happened was, they put like, yeah. They put me one night. They put me over making up all kind of shit. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's pitch black. I don't want to mess with the integrity of the video that I got. Okay. Do you have a yeah, if you have a disk drive, you could take it over there. That's probably the best thing for you to do. New York is 1,900 miles away. I don't want to. Okay. What you need to do is upload it to someplace online and give them access to it. Okay, because it's an official video. You're making a complaint. Okay, so you need to. There's other places too, free places where you can just post it up there, and then give them the address that's in that the box, and then they can download it from there or view it. So, yeah, Lawrence Moore. Yeah, as a truck driver, something happened to him. Yeah, be careful. You never know what's going on. No, it actually said it's got to get somewhere. Thank you. It's not here. It's New York. Yeah, the I guess the Justice Department voice has got to get somewhere. Actually, I think it's Kansas State voice saying it has to get to be viewed by the people. And well, I'm not saying anything happened, but it needs to be looked at. He's a truck driver, and somebody roused him. He's black, of course. Needs to be looked at. I'm not saying anything happened. So that's me on Earth. Let's get back to the heavenly realm. Gaon, they don't like that. So God actually knew that when he called them to Vilna Gaon, he would be sending a message to the seers that could see. And I'm one of those seers. So what happens is Vilna Gaon is this wonderful Jewish spiritual person. And they tried to gay him, but I don't think it worked. At least I don't have any reports that it worked. So that helps people understand that that's what's happening. And a lot of Jews, they see things like that. I don't know if they saw that or not, but when in their community, when they have like a sexual offense, they don't necessarily run to the police. And I'm not telling you that they shouldn't, but they know the spiritual truth of that type of thing. That somebody is cursing and willing somebody in that direction. Again, I'm not saying that they shouldn't call the police, but that's why you run up against the wall sometimes with them, because they know even the police are doing it. I may have told them. I don't. They hear me in their head sometimes. Thank you. But that helps you understand that in your life, if you're LGBT, the gay is on. Thanks, Larry. So again, God gave me this thing, and it works about 90% of the time probably. But the idea is this: if you can't heal it, you can't condemn it. Okay, there's also limbo. I was looking up Catholic terms. God's here, so he showed me stuff. So innocents are the kids that were murdered in the stead of Jesus. It was interesting. I was trying to find something in the post that I had read, and then I lost it. I couldn't find it. So Satan hid it. And it essentially says that they died for Jesus so that Jesus could die for us. And God actually sent that message to me a long time ago, because I'm like, why did John Luna die? Why did Phil die? Why am I still here? And God kind of sent that message, because you're doing this kind of work and enlightening the planet, or at least the police that are monitoring what you're doing. Federal law enforcement, whatever it is, and there's foreign nations listening and all sorts of things. You're giving them the information that public notice is being made. Actually, they died for you, or they died so you could live, so you can die for us. They're killing me, man. That's no other way to live, man. After all, I am Raguel Raziel La. At least God says to say I am. And that's the big person up there. Thank you. But it denotes that they attack spiritual people with the gay on. The gay on, O-N, English. So God knew God would use that in English. There's some interesting terms out there. So you being gay is no different than us being in this body. It's no different than somebody that can ride a bicycle really well, somebody that can skateboard really good. It's kind of the same thing. It's just the way the energies are playing out. Again, you could get into, see, I'm not asking Christians to go to like Hare Krishna or Hindu, but again, all scripture really is useful if you read. It's very interesting. Even if you don't agree with it, it's interesting. But what you see a lot of times in like Hinduism and Hare Krishna is a manifestation of what the Bible simply speaks about in a muted way. Again, a fable tells a story, a parable tells a story. The metaphysical is like physics; it has properties, but you don't even basically understand what was given to you. That be the properties of the metaphysical. So in some of the other religions, they do have a little bit of the properties of the metaphysical. And of course, it's in the Bible also. Again, we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, those that cause the others to fall. So again, the world is reversed, and the church is teaching the opposite of what it's supposed to be teaching. Again, it's a form of oppression to a certain degree. A lot of wealthy people get in there and they change it. Is there something wrong with being wealthy? No. Is there something wrong with being wealthy and evil? Yes. What has the planet done? It's made the way up. You have to be evil to get something. Now, they may not be their whole life. That's the trick what Satan used. But what is it? It's increasing. It's never enough money. So again, when they used to have to be evil, one time a year, now they got to be evil 2 and 3 and 4 times a year. Maybe every day for some people. But meanwhile, they'll point to somebody that murders and say, look at that murderer over there. You let him off the hook. But yet somebody like Trump wills people to be murderers because he has something in his head that says that type of person is a murderer, or that type of person's worse than me because he's a murderer, whatever it is in his head, he's projecting with his money. All right, I think it looks like a Lenexa PD vehicle just went by on the highway. They said, when I said he's projecting with his money, I don't think it's that cop, but it could be. So again, be careful of that stuff. Well, I mean, I would have never thought to project and alter people. I still don't project. I just give it to God. But I might have a few choice words in there while I give it to God. Because you created a life where I have to have a few choice words. Otherwise, it won't work. God's plan won't play out. Bottom line. But I also use it to keep them off balance and see. I mean, if the FBI did their job with what I did to make them move, but they were already moving, so it's not like I'm the person that's making them move, right? They'd be in prison already. It'd be over with. The FBI even knows that. They talk to me all day, sometimes. They can't get anybody to prosecute. It's kind of like when Matt Fogg had that discussion with the DEA task force supervisor, I guess, or leader, whatever, team leader, whatever they call it. If we went into those neighborhoods, Fogg, they would shut down our operation, cut off our funding. Same thing. Thank you. And of course, what's happening with prosecuting Trump? That's what they're trying to do, right? And increasing people to, forcing people to pay their taxes. I don't know if you heard that. I had to look at the brightness. It looks kind of kicked in for some reason, forcing people to pay their taxes. They're trying to shut down the IRS because they all cheated on their taxes. Again, once we get back to the point where you're all not doing that crazy stuff to people and making all this money doing it and all this other crazy stuff going on, then additional forgiveness will be there. It won't be such a big deal. It's just like, high intensity law enforcement operations. There's an increase in crime. They focus in that area. Because you're all so corrupt and criminal and there's so many of you, they're focusing on it. And there's mistakes. Everybody knows people make mistakes. Even when you lie on your taxes, if you make a little mistake, they're just going to say pay it. My ex didn't. I did the taxes, handed it to her, and she's from another country. The taxes don't mean as much. So when we separated, I had to pay back our taxes. So I paid I think it was like $3,000. I had to pay two places. I had to pay York County, and I had to pay. Actually, I think I had to pay everybody, state and federal. I don't know if I think she paid the state though. We paid the state. Oh, the state. I think the state was taken out sufficiently, or something like that. But it was just like a mess. I remember doing the state form and all that, so I think maybe I did. Oh, I can't remember. So, when it came around that federal agents or federal employees are owing their taxes, I'm like, oh, the thing got them too. Don't listen to the thing. Pay your taxes. But who knows? I mean, some of it may have been like an ex-wife or something like that. I mean. And again, it could have been physical operators telling her not to pay the taxes. They used to go meet my wife. My wife would go out shopping and they would start talking to her about something to twist her mind. Doctors' offices, wherever. That's how the criminals work. So again, when we go to that FBI agent that offended, he could be guilty of doing it to people, causing them to fall, and then he falls. But, it kind of began to feel like he was altered. The whole office was altered. But then his whole life has changed. What you're all saying is that he should be stronger, and yes, he should, but there's a truth to being stronger. Either you are or you aren't, and it has nothing to do with that person if somebody's altering him. Now, track the when he actually offended. The office thing with the girl, let's get rid of that for now. I mean, it's important, but when he offended with the child, again, there was two of them, but I was focusing on the one where he supposedly pulled a knife on a woman or whatever it is that he worked with. Again, she was wrecked. They were both wrecked. Somebody did it. And it was spells at a minimum, but it looked like it had operators from here. So when he offended with the child, was it after he was working for the FBI? Was he isolated at that point? Again, the CIA model tells them to, at a certain point, isolate the person and present a false reality. Now, he also could have been drugged, because that came up inside. I could feel it. Again, I felt it with him. I felt it with Luna. I felt it with, what's that guy's name? Schultz. Agent Schultz. What was his name? First name? Schultz. Darn it. Tampa, I think it was Tampa PD with his wife, or Gainesville or something. And then he became an agent, and she lives in the house with him. I think in, near the Russian embassy or whatever it is. Dave Schultz was a Flyers hockey person. Bruce Schultz. Oh, hi, Bruce. Hi, Bob. So Bruce Schultz, I could see he was drugged. So when the agent comes up speaking ill of Bruce, it could be ignorance, but it comes up as just, it's Bruce's fault. He died. He wasn't such a F. We wouldn't have been messing with him. That's the kind of mindset they have. And it sounds like they were trying to intimidate the ex-wife or the widow wife. See there. So again, in the metaphysical, she was going to be an ex-wife. She was cursed to be an ex-wife. So even though they stuck together, okay, it's part of the curse. So again, this is what federal employees do to other federal employees. They're sick. And of course, maybe the Russians were part of it also. Well, they're winning if they cause you to be divorced. They're winning if you have to sell your house and it goes into foreclosure or whatever it is. That's how their mind is. They're sick. And then they're trusting them to do whatever they want psychologically to people and call it good. So if you have a change in life, something cost it. Now, if you want to change other people's lives downward, then you're responsible for your own changes because you're part of the system that's degrading people's lives. So if you look into scriptures, you'll find that Jesus forgives people all over the place. God forgave people. The Son is not greater than the Father. He told you that, right? So whatever forgiveness God gave in the Old Testament, Jesus didn't erase. He added to it. And it's not only one thing. There's like 5 or 6 different mechanisms of salvation. And even like the 5-finger death punch, when they're singing, they're saying, talking about people that are self-righteous generally and criticizing their type of people, which are, fringe alt-type people. And they say, actually, they're well-to-do millionaires, multimillionaires at this point. What's that? Straight that way, and then to the left. But it's the front of this building. The building to our left, it's the front. All right. It has, I think, 80-25 on it. So again, people that are spiritually blind, they don't even begin to get judged. And that's the majority of the planet, I would think, to a certain degree. And it speaks about falling, causing the little one to fall. Now, a lot of people will point at Jesus speaking about kids. It does include kids. So again, I'm not telling you to be harmful to kids. But he's speaking about the little one, the Christian, humble little one. Again, I was one for a while, and then God said, game over. Now, they would tell you that's what they wanted, which reveals what they're doing to themselves. But again, it's not something to want. And God will teach you it's not something to want, even if you have to go to hell for it, real hell. Again, majority of people on the planet are forgiven because they're spiritually blind and they got all these other things going on in their lives. They don't have power to protect. And this, well, the Bible says, well, what you're doing is you're going back in time to a different world. And you change the world to manipulate the Bible to use it against people. The Bible also says if you don't have that ability to not be it, there's a lot about that, about what others are doing and who's going to pay for your sin when they cause you to fall. But it also tells you not to judge it until the return, because there'll be more information and they'll understand. So we're not a respecter of persons. So that when we see somebody that's a drug user, that we don't consider them less than a doctor that comes into the church or the synagogue and gives us, $1,000 a month tithe or whatever it is, donation. In fact, again, if you go to Hare Krishna, which is a monotheistic religion, you will find that that's the person to serve. Now, they don't always do that, and Srila Prabhupada himself would tell you that he's imperfect. And Srila Prabhupada, I try to explain it to them. Srila Prabhupada knew more than anybody on the planet when it comes to Vaishnava, Hare Krishna. And when he said he was the most fallen, he was, because he had the most information and still was human. And I spoke to a couple people that knew him real well, but I spoke, he's in my mind. And so we're, we connect. And so again, it's in the Bible, actually, about that. If Srila Prabhupada was given much, much more would be expected of him. And he knew that. But he was that advanced that he knew to condemn himself. So when it comes to being trans, it's all a projection. Now, what they'll tell you is that the liberals are doing it, taking control of our children, willing them. And I did say this before, and I wanted to expand on it and get to it. I did say that men and women that want to be sexual, that project and will things, in the future can will a child to become a trans person so that they'll be there when they're an adult to have sex. But then again, people could be fantasizing about having sex with trans people, with trans children also, because the heterosexuals do the same thing. One of the issues with that is it's coming from where I say it comes from. Now, could it come from other trans people? Of course. Every segment of society has a group of people causing others to fall. Now, they'll say, well, you mean become trans? Is that falling? Here we go. The questions. They seek to catch them in their trap. Everything is falling. If you haven't listened to me one bit, if you didn't get that. This is a sinful body. This is a sinful planet. That is a sinful meal you're eating because you could eat half of that. No, you could eat twice as much of that, and other people could have, but you willed them not to have. So now you only have half as much for breakfast. Otherwise, you could have a feast if you let people eat. So hunger comes from people willing that on others. Maybe not direct, but could be direct. And again, you don't even have to will hunger for hunger to happen if you're downing people. Because they don't have the intrinsic power at that point to be protected from hunger. But that's a hot button issue, and I do my best to explain where the Bible was the whole time. Again, if somebody's trans, it doesn't stop the rest of the Bible from effectuating around that trans and explaining it, and then explaining your what we call constitutional position within the scriptures to that event. Again, do not judge until the second coming, because we don't want to be respecters of persons, and then Jesus will explain it to us, or God will explain it to us, and then we'll understand better. And again, I guess based on what I'm saying, you could understand better on what's actually happening. And then you would understand why you don't judge. Because it has nothing to do with anybody but the evil. So and what you're all doing is you're playing into Satan's hands in the church. Because Satan's causing it. Causing these changes. Caused us to leave the garden. So we no longer walk around naked. Wouldn't it be cool? Hey, naked person, hey. But yet we would all look like Adonis, and a female Adonis is whatever the other side is. But it wouldn't mean anything. It's again like those tribes that walk around naked. It'd be the same way. But they like to eat us if we go there. So again, it's a little skewed garden there. And if that kid that went to that island and got killed, that young guy, a missionary, if he was given the truth, he would know all he needed to do was play Christian music and bless and heal them for a while. He just never would have to go on the island. He could do that. He could play, a bunch of Christian songs and hymns with loudspeakers from the water. And then pray. Unceasingly. Sound familiar? He didn't have to go onto that island. But Satan needed him gone because he was probably healing them or trying to. So again, it's the same thing as police officers that can't live without crime. It drives them nuts not to get the stats, not for the person they hate not to fall. So again, spiritual people or religious people want to find the sinner somewhere and condemn the sinner. So Jesus tries to take that away, and it doesn't work. So when we go into the New Testament, you'll find that the rabbis, a lot of them were rabbis, realize something. First, they said, well, we're going to be pure. The power of God's enough to make us stand and be pure. And God says, when you don't take the mark, you're pure enough. I mean, would you rather not sin and take the mark and hurt other people and be evil to them? Or would you rather sin a little bit and say, forgive me, God? You see, that whole system works if you let it work. But all the rabbis said, wait a minute, they're all condemning each other because, this person over there says they're pure and holy, but yet they're causing everybody else to fall. So again, Satan gets busy in the mind and says, that person over there, what do you think about that person? And they go, well, that person's a little slow. And then they go down. They keep going down. You speak them down. And then eventually they fall into sin. Or they become a vegetarian, or become this, or become that. So then the rabbi said, wait a minute. Let's not judge anybody because we don't, and they receive divine messaging. You don't know what's going on. Quit judging people. And based upon what I've just told you this morning, there's no reason to judge anybody. It's just happening. But again, there's a battle against the evil that's causing the disruption, causing the hunger, causing people to fall metaphysically. Even, people that are causing people to be hungry and be homeless are actually, some of them are in the societies that are giving people housing and feeding them. You see? That's Satan's trick. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do.